AT&T says its widespread outage yesterday that left tens upon tens of thousands of people nationwide without wireless service for hours was not a cyber attack. The company releasing a statement to say it was caused by a coding error. I want to talk more about all of this, so let's bring in Hugh Odom, the president of Vertical Consultants, to break it all down. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us again. You were here as we brought this to you as breaking news, and you are now here to help kind of explain what happened. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity to discuss this.
Of course. Well, first off, I just want to get your thoughts overall here. So there were a lot of people speculating because the feds had said that they were investigating this as a possible cyber attack. They were looking into it. AT&T did come out and say, no, it was actually a coding error.
Yeah, there's a couple things that the Department of Homeland Security stepped in yesterday, and they were looking at this. I think they're continuing to look at this because the explanation from AT&T has some validity with regards to the timing when it happened in the middle of the night. That's usually when you see a software update, and those software, like any software you use on your computer, is coded in a certain way. However, it's concerning either way, a cyber attack or this issue, because if they didn't understand what the issue was for hours upon hours upon hours, and people lost service well into the day for almost 12 hours, what does that mean with regards to the ability to secure these networks, make sure that they're working? And this is almost a worst case scenario for AT&T, where they can say, "What? It was somebody else that got into our system, and it wasn't us." Now it's just on them, and that's almost worse for them in a grander scale.
And I guess it kind of shows the vulnerability of the cell phone system there. So many people, we're talking tens upon tens of thousands of people, didn't have service for, in some cases, maybe up to 12 hours. And you realize how much you need your cell phone. You realize how important it is. And again, it kind of shows the vulnerability.
Yeah, I think two things, like you mentioned, the vulnerability here, as I mentioned on yesterday's program, there's bigger exposure once you're getting this network expanding. And that's exactly what this software update was proposed for. It was to be able to expand the network, and that expansion is due to 5G. And that's the issue we have here. They're trying to expand this network and expand, and leave yourself to those vulnerabilities. With regards to impact, yes, it is a shock to the system. As everybody knows yesterday, it impacts your daily life, from connecting with your children, going to work, having to catch a flight. If people couldn't catch flights because they couldn't book rides to the airport. And the worst case scenario was for emergency services. So we saw just a glimpse of what happens when the network has an issue. And that should be a shocking insight into the importance of this system we all rely upon every day. It is, in our opinion, the fourth utility that we have to have up and running continuously.
And we're talking a lot about AT&T because they had the largest number of outages, but there were other providers that were out as well, right?
Correct. There was Verizon and T-Mobile have stated they didn't have outages. They had a low-grade amount of outages. But really what happened was AT&T allows smaller carriers to piggyback off of their networks. And when it impacts AT&T's network, it impacts their networks as well and their customers. And you mentioned tens of thousands. I believe it was hundreds of thousands of people who were impacted. Only tens of thousands were reporting it. And you couldn't report it sometimes if your phone wasn't working. So it's kind of it's trickled down there. But it impacted so many people around the country. And it, again, had a widespread impact on our daily lives.
How often do we see something like this happen? Again, AT&T is saying that it was a coding error, not a cyber attack. How often does, I would say, a coding error cause something this massive?
Well, what we're seeing is there's more issues as this continues to roll out. And that's not only with regards to service, but security. You may have remember there's been data breaches with regards to people's information. So we're seeing it more and more. And that's why it's so important for these companies not only to be able to progress this out and build the infrastructure, but understand how to roll this out correctly. This is a prime example of they're not focusing enough on how to do this. They're focusing on promoting they're doing this. And I think that's the big issue. If we continue to look at this and don't focus on how we need to build out infrastructure, how we need to build out the network, we're going to see this happen over and over and over.
Did you ever think you'd be on a news program here talking about tens upon tens of thousands of people, possibly, as you said, maybe more than 100,000 people without cell service for this amount of time?
Yes, actually, I did because we've seen this, and it was interesting. The day before this happened, I was on another show, and we're talking about the deletion of landlines, and I was talking that is a big mistake because of all the issues that happen when you're rolling out this technology. So, as I said before, not to be repetitive, this is something I can see happening more and more as technology becomes increasingly out there, and it's valuable. But it's like having a car with a lot more accessories on it. More things can go wrong. And that's the problem you have here with this technology, more particularly 5G.
Another show. There are no other shows. There's just Live Now from Fox. Now, thank you so much, Hugh.
I'll gladly be on every day if you'd like me to talk about this stuff.
Let's make it happen. All right. Anything else you want to add here about any of this before I let you go?
Well, I think this proved two things. One, the importance of getting 5G out there and getting it done right. It is a crucial element to our daily lives, our security as a country, et cetera. But also, it showed that you need to have a backup plan if this technology goes out. Have satellite capabilities to pick up a satellite phone and be able to use that, or the traditional landline. It's a tried and true, tested way of connecting for emergency situations.
It's true. I don't think I've had a landline in a while, and a lot of people don't think about a situation like this, but a landline obviously would have helped. Hugh, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us and break it all down. We appreciate it.
Thank you.